So the CDC recently came out and said that there's this new bombshell study in which natural immunity is significantly more protective against COVID than vaccination only. And so this study was really wild because it just showcased the vast, vast difference. It's not a difference of 1 or 2 points. It's really significant. So this is Randy DeSoto writing for us, and this is what he wrote. He said, by the first week of October, COVID-19 rates among the vaccinated with no previous infection were 6.2 times lower in California and 4.5 times lower in New York than among the unvaccinated with no previous infection. However, among the unvaccinated with previous infection, the COVID-19 rate was 29 times lower in California and 14.7 times lower in New York. So this is just showing what we've been talking about for 2 years now, which is basically saying that people should be allowed to use their own bodies to create antibodies and respond to a disease. If you're believing that the vaccine is better for you, then go ahead and take it. But this just shows that the people who have been saying that they don't want to get it and want their body to do its normal, natural thing, that's valid too. And so it's just amazing because it blows that whole narrative out of the water.
And they've been demonized for it.
Yeah.
It's totally demonized for it because then it's like, oh, you don't believe the science. But I mean, if you actually look at it from a biological, chemical standpoint, your body is doing what it's supposed to do and it's building its own natural immunity. That is science. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not anti-vax or anything like that, but to discredit natural immunity in lieu of vaccination is not believing the science.
It's absolutely not. And, probably 6 months ago, the WHO was caught editing its website and its suggestions as far as vaccinations go. The site originally said that natural immunity is best. Yep. Vaccinations can also work.
Yeah.
Then it flipped, and it didn't flip. It eliminated natural immunity, and it said vaccines are the preferred course of prevention with COVID. Then it flipped again, and they said, well, really, they're both good. Yeah. Now, I reached out to the CDC, to the WHO, and I said, it seems like the first version you had out there where natural immunity was preferred and vaccination was acceptable, that was pretty good. Then you guys changed it, and why did you change it? And they came back to me with we revised the guidance. And then I asked them a couple of more harder questions, and I never heard from them again. I mean, seriously, the WHO got back with me within just a couple of hours. And then so they were listening. I replied to the guy, never heard another word about it. They edited it on the stealth.
Yeah.
And it's just remarkable. So, I mean, Abby, why have they been so dead set that every person get the vaccine? Comply or else. Why?
I mean, it's a power move. It's also because if you look at the CDC, the WHO, basically any health agency, most of them have board members and controlling interest from, guess who? Pfizer, Moderna, everyone, Big Pharma, everyone who's making the vaccine. And yeah, I mean, it may be a little hard to prove that there's a direct correlation that, that they're lining their pockets, but it's not just a complete random incident.
Yeah.
When you push a broad narrative of unity, you're like, everybody do it. And that conveniently lines up for kind of an authoritarian, everybody on the same page. We can push the same narrative. And guess what? It's also going to benefit a lot of people and make a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes against, I was thinking about this, kind of just snickering to myself after I'd read this, because it goes against even what you've seen in TV shows and movies. One of my favorite TV shows, there's a character and the plague hits. It's an old timey show, back in the 1600s. And he goes, I can help take care of the plague victims because my wife and child died, but I survived. And it's the natural immunity thing. And he ends up helping everyone. And so it's time and time again, all throughout history, you had those random people who randomly survived. And that's how a lot of us are all here today. And so it's just interesting how it's like just science, you know?
I think I'd like to know what the show is.
It is Reign on Netflix. It's really good. It's about Mary Queen of Scots.
Super
good.
I thought you were being sort of dodgy, not telling us what the name
No,
was.
I just was
you
like,
were
oh, maybe.
embarrassed.
Oh, no, maybe I'll just.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a really great show.
Okay.
So I recommend it to everyone. It's super good. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really just kind of, like a medical police state.
That's a good description for it.
Yeah.
This idea that you have to have a passport to go into a restaurant, and that, of course, we've been able to tell now with the data that African Americans are significantly less likely to get the vaccination and the passports. So it's the Supreme Court has said that where disparity exists, you can assume discrimination. So this is obviously discriminatory toward blacks. Yet the left doesn't say anything about it. It is truly remarkable to me. Now, Tara, I saw on the news yesterday, we were talking about it in the newsroom, Boris Johnson just pulled a big 180 on this.
Oh, yeah.
Boris.
Yeah, Boris came out and said they're moving away from Plan B, and Plan B was basically their lockdown situation. They said, we're going to move back to Plan A. So that means no masks anywhere. They're just going to be done with all of the regulations and all of the rules. And then this morning, Ireland came out and announced that within the next 2 days or so that they're going to be done with almost all of their regulations. So it's just crazy because if you're sitting in America right now, you're probably thinking, Omicron is the most deadly strain of COVID you've ever seen because they want you to wear N95s and they seem to just be buckling down and schools seem to be closing. And so it's just crazy because it's like the rest of the world's realizing that Omicron is a lot lesser than Delta or the original COVID-19 pathogen. Yeah. And so we're just denying science at this point and we're just holding.
No, not that.
Yeah.
Not that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.